The second part of today's lesson is evaluating a survey claim. And the key on this is to always check the sample or the question to see if they're biased. In part one, we described what makes a sample biased and what makes a question biased. And just to recap real quick, a sample's biased if it's not random or systematic. Those are good samples, but convenient samples and self-selected samples you want to avoid. Questions are biased if there are key words that lead or persuade people to go with their claim. And we also want to make sure the sample is taken from the correct population. So an example of that would be if you're trying to find out about people's ideas about garbage collection in Placerville, you wouldn't want to ask people in Folsom about how they feel about Placerville's garbage collection because they're not part of that population. So those are the things we need to look for. So let's take a look at an example problem here. Sarah wants to know how many minutes residents of her town spend in their cars each day. Use the information below and the graph to correctly answer the questions. Okay, so her sample here says 60 residents of the town who are waiting for a bus. Okay, this is her sample, just 60 residents of her town who are waiting for a bus. Well, she wants to know about the minutes residents in her town spend in their cars each day. So the sample right here is kind of questionable. First of all, it's a convenient sample because it is just asking the 60 residents that are waiting at a bus. It's easy just to go to the bus stop and ask those people because there's a bunch of people there waiting for the bus. You might as well ask them, right? Well, let's read a little further here. How many minutes, her question is again, how many minutes per day do you spend in your car? And I don't know how many people that are riding the bus spend a lot of time in their car. That's why they're taking a bus. They either don't have a car, their car's getting repaired, or maybe they just don't want to spend the time or money for the gasoline in their car. So I doubt very many people who ride the bus spend a lot of time in their car, so I bet you that's what will end up happening here. Let's see what her claim was. Most residents of the town spend less than 30 minutes per day in their car. Well, that would make sense. It would seem as though if they're riding the bus, they're not going to spend a lot of time in their car. So let's read the question here. Is the sample or the question biased? Well, I would say the sample is biased. And the reason is that, we'll say, because people riding a bus probably don't spend much time in their car, if they have a car at all. And so the bus stop probably wasn't the best place to ask people. Same thing with a gas station. You probably wouldn't want to go to a gas station and ask people because they're probably riding in their own car there. So you want a random sample. A random sample is always what you want. A random sample is when each member in the population has an equal chance of being selected for the sample. I would say the question's fine. I like the question. How many minutes per day do you spend in your car? There's nothing biased about this. So I would say that this question is not biased. But that's not what they're asking for in number 9. They want to, or number 5 here, they wanted to know which was biased, and it's the sample. The question's great. It doesn't have any key words that lead me to thinking that I should say I don't spend a lot of time in my car or I do spend a lot of time in my car. So the question's good, sample was not. Is Sarah's claim valid? I would say probably not. Probably not. I can't say for certain, but the reason is because probably not, and the reason due to the biased sample. So I wouldn't go with the claim that has a biased sample or a biased question. I would kind of exclude those and not take those so seriously as I would if a sample was random and the questioning was not leading towards a certain way of thinking. So I would say the probability, or it's probably just a poor sample question, or a poor sample, but the question was good. Well, that's what you're going to end up seeing on tonight's homework. Good luck.